question of whether Islam is inherently violent is causing a lot of controversy amongst evangelicals today. You don't have to look far to see violence, terrorism, and wars associated with Muslim contexts around the world. But what causes that violence and the rights and wrongs of it are fiercely disputed. Most evangelical authors are careful to point out that whatever Western politicians or Muslim leaders may say, the word Islam does not actually mean peace, but rather it means submission. Peace, or salam, comes when there is submission, or Islam, to God. The question is how that submission is arrived at. Some evangelicals are convinced that Islam is a military, political ideology committed to imposing submission and Islam on the world by force. They point to the life of Muhammad and the wars that he fought against different tribes, which were followed by the conquest of Arabia, the Near East and North Africa, overrunning the great Christian centres of Jerusalem, Antioch, Carthage, and eventually Constantinople. Others point out that whilst this was definitely an imperial political expansion, every bit as colonial as the later Western expansion, most people were not violently converted to Islam at the point of the sword. Rather, conversion happened more slowly over time due to political, economic and social pressures. Again, the divide amongst evangelicals is sharp, and there are sometimes open arguments in various media between those taking different positions. For more confrontational evangelicals, the roots of the violence associated with Muslims is entirely internal to Islam, in the texts of the Quran, Hadith and traditions. The teaching around jihad, which means struggle in Arabic, and its connection to martyrdom and paradise come in for particular criticism. Others see conflict between Muslims and the rest of the world as being inevitable, maybe seeing it as a spiritual battle, because they believe it has been prophesied in the Bible. After all, if Arabs are the descendants of Abraham's first son Ishmael, doesn't the book of Genesis say that they will be at odds with the descendants of his second son, Isaac, the Jews? More conciliatory evangelicals disagree and point out that God even promised that Ishmael would be the father of a great nation. Whilst not denying that Islam has difficult texts, just like there are in the Bible, they see other contributing factors to today's violence, including global injustice, Western foreign policies, the invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq, and Christian support for those wars. They want to seek peace with Muslims. Other evangelicals think this is naive and seem to presume that the world is inevitably heading towards war, confrontation and Armageddon, which is the theme of the next chapter.